begin with something that I am super fired up about, and it is the continued fallout of the Ivan Provorov story. For those of you who missed this story, Ivan Provorov is a Philadelphia Flyers player. He has been in the United States since he was 13 years old, but is from Russia. And he made the decision not to go out in a warm-up skate in a jersey with a gay pride logo on it. He said it conflicted with his religious values. The NHL has lost its mind, the media that covers the NHL, that is, over this decision. And there are many different people who have shared a variety of perspectives. I'm going to discuss them all. I'm going to break it down for you. But I want to start with this idiotic take from a guy named EJ Radic. I don't know how to pronounce his name exactly because I'd never heard of him before. But he works at the NHL Network. He is a senior reporter for the NHL Network. And EJ Radic said that if Ivan Provorov does not want to wear a pride jersey, that he should go back to Russia, leave our country, and fight in the Russian war against Ukraine and potentially die there. That was the statement made by EJ Radic on the NHL Network attacking Ivan Provorov for his decision on this LGBTQ uniform. So I just want to discuss that opinion in particular. It is a disgraceful opinion for an employee of the NHL to share. It is a disgraceful opinion for an American to share because this country was founded on the idea of religious freedom and that you should have the freedom to support your religion as you see fit. If EJ Radic had said basically about anybody other than a white European player that they needed to go back to their country because they didn't share the political opinions that he has, he'd be fired on the spot. So I want to take it outside of the NHL controversy, and I just want to say, imagine that this were an African NBA player who made a choice based on his religious beliefs, could be Muslim, could be Christian, could be any number of different religious faiths, that he wasn't going to do something. And an NBA analyst came out and said, if that guy doesn't want to do this, he should go back to Africa. He'd be fired on the spot. If this were something to do with a Muslim player, you can imagine a Muslim player saying, let's say it's a soccer player from a Muslim country, didn't want to wear a LGBTQ label on his jersey. That Muslim player came out, said he wasn't going to do it because of his religious faith, and a soccer analyst said that Muslim player should go back to the Middle East and get embroiled in the wars that are fought there. He'd be fired on the spot. This is, I believe, a fireable offense by the NHL Network. Because if you put this comment in the context of any other race, any other religion, other than a white Christian's belief, this individual, first of all, wouldn't say it, right? And he would get fired if he did. Okay? So EJ Radic, based on the standard that is regularly set in media, should be fired for what he said on the NHL Network, in particular because he is an NHL employee and he is appearing on the NHL's own network. Okay? Now, I don't believe in cancel culture. So I am not in favor of anyone being fired for what they say. Okay? But by the standards that the left has set, EJ Radic should be fired. Okay? Now, I want to take it outside of the context of what happened here, and I want to point this out. If the Philadelphia Flyers had decided to honor Christians, now they would never do this because people like EJ Radic would lose their mind if they decided they were going to do it. But if the NHL Network decided that they were going to honor Christians by having a small cross on their uniforms, and they were going to wear those for a skate around and then auction off those jerseys for the benefit of Christian organizations, and a player on the NHL said, I don't feel comfortable doing that because of my religious beliefs. Maybe they're not Christian. Maybe they're Jewish. Maybe they are Muslim. Maybe they're atheist. Whatever that opinion might be, then the EJ Radics of the world would call him a hero. If a player refused to go out on the ice wearing a cross on his jersey. Okay? So this is a big deal because another idiot said, well, he was fine wearing the jersey for military night. Okay. Yeah, because he's okay supporting the military. But that's what people who wear jerseys do, by the way. They make choices on whether to wear a jersey or not based on whether they support the jersey, right? I mean, this is crazy that I have to say this. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. I'm not a big jersey guy in general, but my kids just got me an old Steve McNair jersey to wear potentially to a game. I would wear an old Steve McNair jersey because I'm a Titans fan. I wouldn't wear an old Ray Lewis fan because I'm not a Ray Lewis jersey because I'm not a Ravens fan. The clothes that you wear reflect whether you support something or not. But you know what? My opinion on this Ivan Provorov situation would be the exact same even if he came out and said, hey, I don't want to wear a military jersey because I am a Pennsylvania Quaker and I believe that all war is immoral and unjust, and therefore I don't believe that I should be supporting anybody who is serving in the military. I would say, okay. I don't agree with him. I'm not a Pennsylvania Quaker. But I would say I respect the fact that somebody can make the choice over whether to wear a jersey that specifically endorses a political opinion of some degree or not, right? If somebody out there said, hey, you know what? I don't really want to wear pink because I'm not really that interested in the breast cancer fight. Well, you know, I don't know what you got against boobs. I'm the First Amendment and boobs guy, but I would support somebody who said, hey, I don't want to wear pink on my uniform because I'm not that interested in getting involved in breast cancer awareness. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I would support a position under which a player could take that stance. The difference between me and this imbecile EJ Radic and all of the other loony bin NHL woke people who have been arguing and attacking Ivan Provorov with every aspect of their fiber is I stand on principle, content-neutral policies, as opposed to arguing entirely based on whether I agree with somebody's politics or not. I don't care. I said yesterday about the whole rainbow on the jersey or whatever else. If I were an athlete, I would probably wear it because I don't feel that strongly enough about it to stand up against it. But if you told me that I had to play in a BLM sleeve, I wouldn't wear a BLM logo on my jersey because I think BLM is an awful organization that has led to lots of police being murdered and has led to many more murders in this country than would exist if BLM didn't exist. So I wouldn't, if I were a player, I would not wear a jersey that had a BLM logo on it. I just wouldn't. People can disagree. And I think players should have the right to make those choices. And so I think it takes far more bravery for Ivan Provorov to choose not to wear this jersey than it does to wear it. Okay? And again, there's a big difference, and they're not acknowledging this difference, but there is a big difference between supporting something and being okay with it existing, right? And this is significant. I am fine, and I think most people out there are fine, with people who are adults living their life as they see fit. I don't care who you sleep with if you are an adult and you are doing it with another consenting adult. I think most Americans believe that. Now, some don't. That's okay. But that's my opinion. But there is a difference between saying, hey, I'm okay with you doing whatever you want to do, and saying, I have to celebrate your life choice. I'm heterosexual. Nobody out there is like, boy, I'm glad Clay Travis sleeps with women. My wife's not even glad about that, by the way. Been married 20 years. I think she's over it, okay? There are a lot of people out there that sleep with women. It's not something to brag about. It's not something to draw attention to. I think most people just don't care who you sleep with. So the next step of, hey, I'm going to wear an insignia to support something, to celebrate something, that's the next level. Okay? And I don't think athletes should be obligated to do that. And I don't think they should be obligated to do that for anything other than the contract that they sign to celebrate and support their team, right? That's the contractual obligation that they've undertaken. Now, the difference between me and this idiot EJ Radic is my policy exists across the board and is content neutral. If you don't want to wear a military appreciation jersey, I don't think you should have to. If you don't want to go out and wear pink to support breast cancer, I don't think you should have to do it. If you don't want to put on your helmet, BLM, I don't think you should have to do it. Players should have choices. They can choose to support something or not, regardless of the politics behind it. But the EJ Radics of the world, if there was a Jesus night and there was a cross on the jersey in the pregame skate and a player didn't want to do that, they would say, oh, that's so brave of that player. God bless him for doing so. When you say God bless, they would say bless him for doing so potentially. And they would praise him. That's a content-based discrimination. And let me also talk about, some people are like, what about Kaepernick? Again, Kaepernick made a calculated choice to speak out in his uniform at work about something that had nothing to do with sports. This is not what Ivan Provorov has done. He chose to just play sports. I don't want anything on my jersey that has to do with LGBTQ issues, and I don't want to be seen as endorsing it. That doesn't seem complicated to me at all. They're very different scenarios. By the way, Colin Kaepernick was rewarded, but the argument that I made was consistent, which is the people who praised Kaepernick would have ripped him to shreds if he had taken a knee to say he didn't support gay marriage during the national anthem. If he had taken a knee to say he didn't support California abortion law or Roe v. Wade, they would have ripped him to shreds and said there's no place for a knee to be taken during the national anthem based on those political agendas. Again, this is important. Content-neutral policies should be applied evenly to everyone. And if you are EJ Radic and you're not smart enough to understand that, and you think somehow you are the good guy because you're telling someone in America to leave the country because you disagree with their religious beliefs, you, EJ Radic, you imbecile, are the reason the United States exists in the first place. Because people expressly came here for religious freedom. You are an authoritarian. You are the bad guy. You're too dumb to understand how stupid what you said was because you have bought into this idea that you are a virtue-signaling, a beautiful human being, that you're inclusive, that you believe in diversity, that you're a big guy of tolerance. No, you are actually the intolerant one because you're telling a guy who's been here since he was 13 years old to leave the country if he doesn't agree with your position. And you would never say it if this guy were African. You would never say it if this guy were Asian. You would never say it if this guy were Middle Eastern. Think about what the reaction would be if an African NBA player didn't want to wear the LGBTQ patch and a white dude said, go back to Africa if you don't want to have the same opinion as me and go fight in your civil war in your war-torn country. He'd never work in media again. Be fired instantaneously. So why is it okay for him to say it about a Russian Christian. And why does this imbecile EJ Radic recognize that? By the way, let me say this. Credit to Outkick 360, which is airing right now. They invited one of these woke imbeciles on the program to discuss this. I would invite any of these woke imbeciles at ESPN or Canadian Broadcasting Corporation or wherever the hell they were, the NHL Network. I'd invite them all to come on and make their argument. And I would just ask them the same questions that I asked you and that I discussed here. And what you would see is that these guys are left-wing woke hypocrites who have no substance behind their positions, whose positions would crumble if you subtly alter the individual involved or the political angles. They are not the heroes here. They are authoritarian, woke idiots. And they aren't even smart enough to recognize that they're the villains and they're actually the reasons that the United States of America exists today and why we have the freedoms, because people came here to flee people like them. Just want you all to think about it. And I am obviously fired up about it because this goes to the essence of what I've been arguing for so long. I didn't realize it because you guys know I'm not a hockey guy. Like, I've done radio for a long time. I can't break down hockey at all. We used to have my guy, Eddie Garcia. For those of you who listen to the Outkick the Coverage show, he was our resident hockey expert. He would come on and tell us whatever was going on in the world of hockey because I wasn't smart enough. I don't know. I never played hockey. I've never put on hockey uniform. But the hockey media, the sports media that covers hockey, may be the wokest out there on the planet. And the fans of hockey overwhelmingly reject this. And that's why the one positive to come out of this so far is Ivan Provorov's coach has stood up for him. But also, his jersey is sold out now. Earlier today, you couldn't buy his jersey online because so many people all over the world, but certainly in America and Canada, appreciate the fact that he's willing to stand up for what he believes in. And guess what? I guarantee you there are hundreds of NHL hockey players that agree with exactly what he said. And the reason why they are not speaking out is because they know what will happen to him would happen to them instead, and they don't want to find themselves as the target of the woke media mob. So I give credit to Ivan Provorov. I hope that the NHL and the NHL Network will come out and say something about this senior reporter, EJ Radic, this imbecile, and condemn and criticize and lambast and ridicule everything that he said on their network like I just did, because frankly, it's indefensible and it's anti-American.